Lund Boats proudly presents the ultimate fishing experience. This week on Lund's The Ultimate Fishing Experience. The future of angling solely depends on young guys and gals participating in this great sport.
Nice job.
More often than not, it's a parent or grandparent that passes on the passion for fishing.
Oh, there you go. Nice fish, man.
More recently, there's another way for kids and young adults to get involved. Popping up around the country are junior high, high school, and even college-sponsored fishing teams.
Got a good one there, Tyler? All right.
Giving many the opportunity to participate and compete in the great sport of fishing. So instead of dribbling, skating, or passing, girls and boys can cast, flip, and set hooks at a competitive level.
That is what we are looking for.
Good morning. My name's Jason Barr, and I coach the Brainerd Warrior High School and Junior fishing teams. These are my two boys, Kyle and Tyler. As you can see, they're rigging up. We're gonna go out and fish one of the area's Hunters of Lake this morning and see if we can't go have a little bit of fun and catch some fish. Yeah, high school fishing is really taking off, not only at the high school level, but at the junior level and the college level. We've seen growth like you wouldn't believe, and not just here in Minnesota, but all throughout the country. We just got off a tournament down on Lake Pickwick, which actually had 340 boats, and they gave away $135,000 in scholarship money, ran through the TVF. So it's really gaining traction. Here locally, just on our Brainerd club, we went from 70 youth our first year, which is still a fairly large team, and now between our junior and high school club, we have about 130 kids. We're going to a local lake that's full of bass, lots of fish, allow us to try different things and different techniques, and we'll go out there and see if I can't give them a good butt whooping today in the fishing. So we'll see how it goes. You know, one thing about fishing is there's so many different aspects of it. Teaching them how to read a graph, how to run the bow mount, how to run the big motor, and that's kind of what we're going to do today. Is they're going to run the boat. I'm going to hang out in the back, and hopefully they can put me on some fish.
All right, so today it's a nice morning out here. We just pulled out. We've been on this lake a couple times before, but not too many. But what we do know about this lake is that it's deep, really deep, clear water, and it's really weedy. It's got some really nice weed edges, so that's probably what we're gonna start off doing. Maybe throw some top water, some jigs, Texas rigs, but probably just gonna be throwing what catches fish. It's middle of summer, so you'll catch some fish up way shallow. We just had a tournament just last Sunday, and they're in a foot of water. And now, but there's also, we got a lot of fish out in like 18 feet of water, so they're really everywhere, and we're gonna hope we can find the best school wherever they're at.
I won't say much. I'll kind of hang out in the back of the boat and just have some fun, and hopefully they put us on some fish. Well, Tyler, that's 1 to 0.
We chose topwater this morning because topwater is usually really good. In the morning, they're kind of cruising the midsection. And the topwater we're using today, making a lot of commotion, and that's bringing them up. And topwater is always fun to throw in the morning. See them, like right there. That's a northern. A lot of my big fish have come off of topwater too, and they've made one of the most violent explosions I've ever heard. There she is. Big fish we've been waiting for. It is 1 to 1 to 1. All tied up.
One of the most enjoyable aspects of bass fishing is the sheer excitement of action. And one of the best producing baits out there is the Jean LaRue hardhead jig rigged with a biffle bug. Think of it as a weedless crankbait. It's designed to be straight reeled and bounce through hard bottom areas much like a crankbait, only it fishes clean through cover with its single offset hook. Locate hard bottom areas on your graph using side imaging, then start fan casting the area. Drop the talons or spot lock once you get bit, then repeat the exact same cast. Chances are you fired up a school. Allowing your shallow water anchors or Minn Kota's GPS-enabled spot lock to pin your boat in place allows you to focus on fishing. Here's a tip. Reel the hard head jig system as fast as you can while maintaining bottom contact and hang on.
There's a nice one. Nice fish. This is what we came out here this morning for.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly.
Now that one barely hit it, but you could still see the tail. When it came up, it just toilet bowled it, so it just brought it down in this nice, slow manner. Beautiful fish. Get it back.
You know, fishing is a sport that you get to do together, you know. If your son or daughter maybe is in hockey, maybe you're not out on the rink skating with them, but fishing is truly a sport where you can go out, you can learn together, you can do it together. It is so fun to watch these guys learn stuff. And then when they learn something, they teach me. And sometimes they teach me stuff, which is really awesome. So it's a great sport, and I really truly believe that high school fishing is getting more parents involved in fishing that, you know, maybe didn't. We kind of skipped a generation there. At least locally, I don't know about nationally, but at least locally, we're starting to see a lot of those guys come back and get back outside and do it with their kids, because their kids are doing it, and so now they're going to have to do it because they want to do it, especially for practice and things like that. So it's a great way to get out, to do it as a family, and to learn as a family.
Another topwater fish. This one came head and tail out of the water too. Almost completely opposite of what I had a big one do earlier. The big one hit it nice and slow, and that one inhaled it. One thing with topwater that when people first start to use them is that they miss a lot of fish. They tend to work it down and they set the hook right away and pull right out of their mouths. Well, I like to work my rod tip up so you don't miss as many fish, because if you have your rod tip up, you're forced to go down, then back up, which should give enough time to eat it.
So right now the guys in front of the boat are throwing topwater. One's throwing a little popper bait and one's throwing a walk bait. And I'm actually throwing a jig. So I'm targeting the fish at the base of the weed line or down on the bottom. And they're topping, you know, they're concentrating on fish a little higher in the water level, but as you can see, we're all catching fish. Eventually, the bite will change to be a little bit deeper. We'll have to go out a little deeper. We'll fish craw tubes and jigs and things like that, but right now we can catch them on everything.
So we're gonna go see if we can't go find some fish out on the outer break line of the weeds and see if we can't find a school of them.
Well, I coached the Brainerd High School team and a junior team. Our teams are kind of combined into one, but in 2017 now we have approximately 130 anglers. We kind of have a set of kids who are there to learn how to fish. You know, maybe haven't fished a lot and are just there to learn. And then we have a set of kids who, you know, are pretty good fishermen and are there to fish some tournaments, to learn some. You know, they're kind of a combination. And then we have a set of kids who are definitely tournament anglers or are competitive, you know, eat, breathe, and sleep fishing and want to be on the water every day they can. So we have quite a mixture of both. It's really fun to watch the growth of the sport.
Here we go, we've made a move. We've been looking for the fish and they weren't on the outside weed line. So we scooted up onto the inside weed line and there he was. So I think we found something here where we got to fish the outside of the weed or the inside of the weeds now. When
we fished our first high school tournament in Minnesota, there's 20 boats, and now there's several tournaments, and there'll be between 40 and 50 boats at every single one, a lot of times different kids. So it's really taken off. It's doubled or tripled every year since it started, and we think it'll continue to do that, or at least, you know, that's the goal. And not just here in Minnesota, nationally, it's growing like gangbusters, and there's new sponsors getting involved. I think a lot of companies recognize that, you know, these kids are the future of angling, and they want to get involved, which is good, and it's good for the kids because they help support them. If a kid doesn't have a boat, that's okay. We provide boats, we provide boat captains. And these boat captains, it's funny because they eat it up. I promise one thing: if they do it once, they'll do it again. There's no doubt about that. So, and you know, the best part about it is I get to go fish, and my wife doesn't get mad at me because I got the kids, or I got some kids with me, and so that's perfect. It's a win-win. I love it.
A well-known and generally true adage is that 90% of the fish live in 10% of the water. This makes scanning with your electronics a much more efficient way of finding fish than with a lure. Cutting-edge electronics like Lowrance's Carbon series come loaded with fish-finding technology. Today, I'm using split-screen mapping and 2D sonar. When I mark a group of fish, I drop a waypoint and then return to the spot so I'm fishing fish, not vacant water. Lowrance's Structure Scan 3D further enhances your search by producing highly detailed 3D readouts of the structure below. Boat control is made easy with Minn Kota's GPS-enabled Altera. Simply spot lock on top of the fish, and the trolling motor handles the rest. So take the approach of finding fish first, then fishing. You'll be amazed at the outcome.
Nice mid-leg structure fish.
Oh, there's a better fish. There. What a stud. Right next to the boat, too. Yeah, that's a real good fish. Look at the belly on him. That is what we are looking for. I don't know. That is a real toad. We'll get her back real quick. Come on. Yeah, that's the great thing about fishing with my dad and brother is we're able to try different techniques. My dad right now is throwing a jig, and Tyler here is throwing a jerkbait, and he raised a couple of really nice fish and actually had one hooked for a bit. And so we came back around just looking for them same fish, and we connected with one of them, which is an awesome feeling. The nice thing about technology is you're always getting a current fishing report. So if you got to go to a lake that you don't know about, or if you hardly ever fished, you can look it up either on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or something, and you'll find the report right there most likely. And a lot of times it's within a week or two. So
I tell you what, these kids, compared to when I learned to fish, you know, I'd have to wake up on Saturday morning, and you know, I'd turn it on to In Fisherman and watch, you know, Al and Jim fish on TV. Now these kids have everything right on their phone. I mean, if they want to learn how to tie a uniknot, then they go on their phone and they learn how to tie a uniknot. If they want to learn how to jig a bass jig or fish a bass jig, they go online and they watch it. So there is a wealth of information. These kids now know more than I could have ever dreamed of. about, especially bass fishing. They learn so much from doing that. So it's pretty awesome. And as you know, the technology has changed too. You know, rods and reels, when I started, you know, I had my old, you know, spinning reel. I'd have to crank on the drag to get it to work. And
You know, just like you were saying about the new rods and reels, this rod is so sensitive that I pulled out of a weed and was still pulling through it, but I could still feel him thump it. And he barely hit it, and I was able to feel it. So that's a good thing about the new rods. And these reels too, they're getting in faster and faster by the day. You know, they all started out as like 5.2 to 1, and then they grew to 6.2 to 1, but now they're at 9.1 to 1 in with some reel companies. It's just crazy how fast they are. So I decided to throw the jerkbait because out deep in these top weeds, the bait fish like kind of suspend out here, so the fish are following the bait fish. And the nice thing with these Rapala jerkbaits, like the shadow wraps, the X wraps, all them, is that they just kind of twitch, pause them. They look like a wounded bait fish. So like a lot of my fish have just been going like that and just bang. I had two toads on, giants. I think he hooked on the smaller one, but the second one was a lot bigger. So I'm hoping I can get him to bite again, which he was hooked for a bit, so I don't know. He's gonna be tough.
there are several reasons we bought this boat. In fact, last year we had a bass boat and a walleye boat. We actually had two boats. And so when we looked at this boat, we decided that we could do both out of it very easy. It's got the Pro V hull, so it handles big water very, very well. And yet it's still got the huge decks for bass fishing. The storage in this boat is unbelievable. In fact, they can fit in the storage, literally, and I can shut it. That's how big it is on the side. So we have the rod locker split up. We can put well over a dozen rods on the decks. We can put 15 rods in the rod locker, including a pump out on the live well. It's rated for a 250 horsepower motor. It's got a spot where you can put a hot foot if you want. This console here will actually pop out to even give you more room. As you see, we were able to put two talons on it. We have two 12-foot talons on it. Mounted graph on the bow, of course, one on the flush mounted on the dash. So it's a great versatile boat. Like I said, we use it for walleye fishing a lot. And the neat thing about it is you got a bass boat, you can get out on the big water. We've never had a problem with it spearing a wave or anything like that. It stays on top really nice, so we really like it a lot. The future of fishing is bright, and it's alive and well. These kids who maybe aren't track stars or basketball stars, but still have that competitive piece to them, this is a great opportunity to get them involved. They're part of a team, and then you put in that competitive piece to it, and the fact that we're fishing, and it's a win-win for everybody. So it will continue to grow, and there's a few guys here right in Minnesota who will make sure that happens. And so we're going to continue to work on it, and we'll see what happens. Our goal is to have 10,000 high school anglers in the state in the next couple years, so we'll see how that goes.
So we just a couple weeks ago, we just got back from being in the south for 2 weeks. Hot down there, that's for sure. And the fishing's a lot different. You'd fish on big steep ledges. It almost looked like just a cliff just straight down. It's crazy. And you throw whatever you're throwing, big 12-inch ribbon tails like that big, or big football jigs and stuff like that. You just throw it right on top of that and you just drag it until it falls and you reel up and go back on the top. And like on Pickwick, they school up big time. They're like, they call them mega schools of like 300 to 400 fish at a time. And if you get the school fired up, it's just bang, 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 as fast as you can get them. On Tennessee, though, water was like 90 degrees, so you hook onto them and it'd be like our smallmouth just running and stuff, and you think it's a big one, then you pull it, it'd be 14 inches. So it is different, and the jigs are the same, but we use a lot of Carolina rigs, and we tried hair jigs, and they never, I had all my confidence in the football jig, and that's what we got all of our fish on during the tournament, was the football jig. This goes to show what two different techniques can produce. I was using a crowd tube on this one, and he was using a jerkbait on that one. Both good fish too.
Sponsors are very, very important to us high school clubs. You know, we want to keep it as affordable as we possibly can for the kids, just so we don't discourage anybody from joining our team. And by far the most important way to do that is through sponsorships. And in return for that, our kids are very good on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Some of our kids have 10,000 followers on Instagram. So when they catch that 5-pound bass on a Rapala jerkbait like Tyler was using earlier, he'll post it and he'll tag Rapala in that so other youth can see that. And they can also, so it's kind of twofold. One, we put in a plug for the sponsor, but two, other kids fishing across everywhere can see what's working and what's not working and what the current bite is like. So we do a lot of that, and we encourage our kids to do that. As long as they're on the fishing team, we monitor that very, very closely. Fish on! Ah!
It just goes to show you can catch bass and northerns in the same spot. Which ain't always the best thing in the world though.
Getting to be a lot of females involved in high school fishing. We went from 3 gals to now I think we got 16 or 17. And what we've done as a club is if a gal joins our club, we give her a 50% off her membership. And then we have if a young guy recruits a gal, they also get 50% off. But we have a women's organization who actually makes a donation to our club for doing that. So it's a win-win. The organization wants to get more gals fishing, the gals get a good deal, and as for a club, we get a donation. So win-win for everyone. Got a good one there, Tyler? All right. Beast. Well, that's a wrap. You know, we were going to count how many fish we caught, but we caught too many, we lost track. So I'll declare myself the winner. What an absolute blast today. I encourage anybody to get out, get on the water, get your kids on the water. Look around, there's probably a high school team in your area somewhere. Look around, join one. It's an absolute blast. The future of fishing is bright.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like more information, check out lundboats.com or these other online outlets.